Hi guys, and welcome back to Crafty Quilting Designs. I hope you're well and you're having a really fantastic day. Well guys, so it's block number 2, or I should say progress number 2 for our new beginnings quilt along. I must say I'm very pleased to see quite a lot of you have actually downloaded the pattern, and it's really exciting to see so many of you actually taking part, and thumbs up those of you who has actually contacted me. So really nice guys, so thank you for joining in, and I can't wait to see everyone's quilt. Okay, so let's move on now to block number 2. Now I have done an easy to piece block for this one so that things move along very quickly, but our next sort of task is our frame or a border for our center block. And now this really shows off the block. Okay, now what I really want you to take heed of is where the color placements are, because that's very important even in the easy to piece blocks, because the color placement is very important and it's there for a reason. So take heed of where I've actually added the darks and the lights. Okay, now I think that's it really. So it's really 2 sort of objectives today: our center border to complete and easy to piece blocks, which is 4 we're going to do. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Forget the video, give me a thumbs up. You know, so I know that you're getting on, and again I will put the link in the description box down below to access all the details, measurements, etc., so that you are clear. And any questions that you have, please do not hesitate to contact me, because you know I like to get on that little computer and answer all of your questions as much as quickly as I possibly can. Now I think that's it really. So let me know what you think. I'm not going to show it to you because it's really just the center border, and it's really nice, and it's really, as I said, it's really frame up the center block, and again it's made it really bigger. Now what you need to be mindful of is that the quilt top is going to come along very quickly, hence the reason why it's only 4 weeks, because the blocks are quite big. So in no time the quilt top will be completed, and then obviously it's time for quilting. All right, so 2 more weeks after this and we can see what this quilt top actually looks like. Okay guys, so let me take you through how I did it, and hopefully you enjoy and have fun with the process as much as I did. Bye for now, and of course, happy quilting. Alright guys, so let's get started on the second blocks. Okay, so what we're going to do today is to finish up the center star block, and we need to put a border around it. So we need some half square triangles. So I'm going to go through what you actually need, and then obviously again the pattern will be in the description box down below. Well, at least the link would be anyway. So for those of you who, just to be aware, they'll always be in the description box with the link. So we need a top border and a bottom border, and obviously sides borders as well to go around the center block. And we're going to be starting with half square triangles. Now all I have done is use the same color formations within the center blocks, and you would see once I've laid them out, so then you can use the same colors that I have actually used. All right, so for the top block, or for the top border, we need 3 sets of half square triangles. So you need 2 with the contrasting fabrics. Let me just bring these down a little bit. So the contrasting fabrics here, I have a light blue and a dark, I have floral and a dark, and I've also have here another medium blue with a brown floral. So basically all of the colors I've actually used in the center block, I have now still added on using the same colors for the half square triangles. All right, so all you need to do basically is draw a line diagonally from that point to that point, and so on each side. So let's go do that now, and then we're going to cut and then trim them down to 3.5. you can chain piece these if you want. That'll make it go a lot more quickly. So you'll need to do obviously all the half square triangles for going around the square. For the bottom bit or for the side bit, so whatever side you decide to do first, so remember you need 3 sets for the top, but you'll need 4 sets for the other side. So if you do top and top, so do top first, and then the both sides. So for the sides you would need 4 sets total, you will have 8, and then on the other side you'll do the same thing. Alright guys, so what we need to do now is to literally cut these into half square triangles, and I will be using my trimmer, my clearly perfect slotted trimmer, to actually cut these into, or I should say to square them up into 3.5, which is very important that we need to do that. So I'm just going to start cutting them in half first, and then we will square them down, and then I'll show you how to do the top and the bottom so that you know what to do for yourself. All right guys, so let me show you now how to lay this out. So remember, we're doing the top and bottom, and for the top border for our center block we need 3 sets. All right, so you need to start with your florals. So let's find them. So you need your florals in the middle. So I'm just going to finger press so that you can see what I'm doing. Obviously we need to take off our door gears, but I'm just going to lay them out so you can see what to do. I'm just going to finger press as I go. Remember, the middle there is biased, so just be mindful of that. All right, another one of the blue florals, and again finger press. Next we're going to go in with the brown floral and medium blue. Like so, and again one on each side and the other one. So you basically, as I said, you need 3, so you just lay them out, sorry, as I am showing here. All right, so this is for your top border, and you would use a 1/4 inch seam as usual to obviously sew it together. So let's bring this around a little bit. Just get these out of the way. Right, our next one now is the light blue and dark blue, and these literally goes in at the end, like so. I'll get another one. Okay. So that is it, literally, that is it for the top border. Again, just ensure that all the door gears are simply removed, okay? So I have one already prepared, so this is what it would look like once you've stitched it together and iron it. The only difference, so with the top borders, is that for the side borders you now have a 4th one, okay, and the 4th one will be this one here. All right, so because I've already done my top borders, I am going to now stitch this as my side borders. So let's stitch this together now, and I'll show you how this one adds on and what orientation it goes in. So let's get that together now. I'll put that out the way. So I am going to iron these nice and flat, and then I'm going to trim off the door gears, and then I'll be back. All right, so I've ironed them nice and flat. Just remember to open up, let the darker fabric go on either side. I mean, to be honest, it's not peeping through, so I'm quite happy. It depends on what colors you're using, so obviously lay them to the darker side so that it doesn't show up on the lighter fabric if you're using very light fabric. All right, so all the door gears have now been trimmed and everything is nice and flat and beautiful. So we're going to lay it out, and just to repeat what I actually said, so this is your top border for your center square. All right, so remember we've got 1 2 3 4 5 6, and for our side we're going to have 8 in total. All right, and we're going to lay it out exactly the same way, only with the difference is there's a last extra 3.5 square triangle to go on at the end. All right, so just do as I have done, just simply put it out again and lay it out, so that way you don't accidentally stitch it together in the wrong way, and then whoa, you've got to get that unpicker out. So we don't need any of that. All right, so just do that. I think that's the easiest way to refresh your memory of how to do it. Lay it all out first, and then you can then start sewing together, and that way, as I said, there is no mishaps, because as you know, they can happen quite easily, literally easily. Right, so let me find my other one. So that goes there. I don't know about you guys, do let me know in the description box down below if you hate making half square triangles. I mean, I don't mind if I've got to do 1 or 2 blocks, but I tell you, making so much. I actually had another idea for another block that we're going to make, but oh my gosh, when I realized the amount of half square triangles that is going to be, and I was like, no, absolutely not, that is not going to happen, because I think they are the bane, literally, because you not only got to cut them down to half square triangles, you then got to trim them up to the size you want. So, and I think originally the pattern called for, I think it was 108, and I was like, no way am I doing that. I mean, literally no way. So I decided I wasn't going to go with that. So for the last square, we're putting it on like that so that our background fabric is at the end. I mean, tell a lie, it's going this way. Excuse me, that is it. It's going upward because we need this one pointing upwards as well. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Who says that? All right, so this here is our sides. So let's sew them together. I usually start in the middle and just literally stitch it all together. So there you go. Let's get this done. And again, if you want, you can chain piece, but I'm just gonna take one individually and get it all done. And when I say chain piece, if you can lay it all out and then do it like so and then add it on, it's entirely down to you. But however you sew it, whatever is the easiest, speediest option for you. This is your quilt after all, guys. Do whatever you like. Alright guys, it is coming together really nicely. So this is our top and these are our sides. So let's bring in the center block that we made last week and lay this all around it so that you can see how the pattern actually goes. Alright, so I'll just take these off for now. Bring this one back in. Okay, now we're going to start with the top first. And I'm simply just going to put it down there. Now, just make sure that the center half square triangle is touching your background fabric there. All right. And that's the same for all. So you will stitch it together in the exact same way. So tops first, then sides on after. That's it there. Now, what I want to point out is that if you feel that your sides are much longer or your tops are much longer than what the actual square is, your center square, just check your 1/4 inch seam. Okay, that will only be more or less be the fault that there is, that your 1/4 inch seam wasn't accurate. So adjust it, make sure they're all 1/4 inch seam, every seam, and it should fit in quite easily. All right. So that one goes there as well. Now, what I would also say is that when you are going to start to stitch, you need to make sure that you find the center before you start sewing. All right, now we'll just go through that while we lay this out. Now, just remember again, because I put it down like so, we don't need it like that. It must go this way. All right, and that is literally our center block completed now. All right, so this, once we've sewn it together, it needs to come up to 24.5. Now we're going to remove the sides and we are going to stitch or sew on the tops first. So I would say to find your center, fold your center block in half, give it a little finger press so that you know where it is, and do the same for your actual tops as well. And you will repeat the same thing for the sides. Now if yours is nice and accurate, it ideally should fall on the middle seam there. All right, so this, which is what has happened to mine. So I'm just going to open this back out, and this as well, I can see my crease there and my center seam is there, and I'm going to lay them front sides together and simply just sew it on, and that's simply it. So we're going to go ahead, do all of that all around. I am going to pin just because I know these things have a tendency to move, and I absolutely hate unpicking. It is one of my nemesis. I absolutely hate it. Just like half square triangles, to be honest. I don't enjoy making those. So stitch, do the same thing at the bottom here, fold this, make sure you know you've got your crease there, and you lay it right down in the middle. You center that block and you sew. So I'm going to go do this now, then I'm going to do the other side, and I'll come back and show you the whole thing all together. So just remember, once you stitch this on, you would iron that so that it's nice and flat, and open it back, and you will do then the whole thing. You will then fold the entire thing again and crease both ends to ensure that you're centering it properly. Okay, so let's go do that now. Okay, so I've sewn on the top and bottom. You will have some excess. All you need to do is simply just trim them off, and all I've done is line up my first center block on the grid line, and I'm cutting off the extra there just to make sure it's nice and straight. And I'm going to do that in all 4 areas. Just line it up and then trim the excess, because your ruler now should extend down to the actual line there on the grid as well. The next one, and then you will do the same for the other side. Now to do the other side, or to put the sides on, you simply need to fold it as I originally said, and you would crease it. Well, I'm folding it the wrong way. Let's fold it this way because we've already done that side. So that way you can get the center. I'm just making sure that lines up there. Lovely. And what I'm going to do now is simply, I should automatically have this bit in the middle there, which it does fit nicely. Excellent. Fold over, line it up once again, and just simply sew. And I'm going to pin, and then we will have completed the center block for the quilt. Alright, now that the whole block has actually been sewn together, the whole center block now with the borders, we need to ensure that it's nice and straight. Now I've already lined up, I've folded the fabric, or the block in this case, in half, and I've lined it up and I've trimmed both short sides. So it's a 24-inch square or 24.5-inch square, so you should have 12.5 here, which I do. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is just simply make sure that this edge now, the longest edge, is lovely and even. I'm just going to give it a quick check. So I'm going to line it up, fold it in half, and just line it up on one of the grid lines here, just to make sure there's no bowing or anything like that, and just flatten it out to just make sure everything is nice and straight. It looks okay to me. There are a little bit which I guess will be taken up in the seam allowance once we sew the whole quilt top together, but if you're fiddly like me, you'll want to trim it off, which is what I am going to do. So I'm just going to line it up again, and I can see a little bit on the end here, and it is literally just trimmings, to be honest. Ideally, really shouldn't fuss about it, because as I said, it's really going to be taken up with the seam allowance, but and I'm not OCD, it's just I like it neat and tidy, and that's it. That was literally it, so really nothing. All right, so our square center block looks like this, and that's what it is. So this is now completed. Okay, and you should have 24.5. Now this ruler I have here is 23. No, it's 24, so it should stick out. Excellent, look at that. I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but it's literally sticking out a half. Lovely. Okay, so that is our block. I think it's so gorgeous. I cannot stop staring at it. The blue, all the colors come together, and loving the floral and the brown, and the dark blue, center blue, is just popping out and radiating out, and you can see a secondary pattern forming in all of the corners there, really nicely. All right, so let's get on now to the next block. Now this one is an easy to piece block, and I will give you again all of the details in the description box down below. But we're going to be working with some squares, 2 sets of squares. So we're going to be using 8-inch square for these 2 sets of colors, and we need 4 of these each in total. So in total you should have 8 of these, and then we're going to be needing some smaller squares that we are going to cut into half square triangles, and I have 2 colors that I'm working with, and all I have done literally is taken the squares and cut it diagonally from point to point there. All right, so again, I'll give you all of these sizes, etc. So this is a very easy to piece square. I'm going to lay it all out for you. The most important thing you need to remember is that with each of these, you need to ensure that you have the darks on the same end and the medium lights on the same end. So this is what we need to do. Okay, now to be honest, these block I had in mind for this particular area here, or for this particular block, was lots of half square triangles, and I was thinking, oh no, that was just too much labor. I mean, it needed, I think I said it was 108, and I didn't really want to do that. This is supposed to be a really fun, stress-free block, and I felt it would have been just too much labor. And as you know, as I said 100 times, I hate trimming down half square triangles. I don't mind making them, I hate trimming them. If I had an assistant to trim, then that will be fine. So then I decided to change the pattern, and I've come up with this one as well. So it's a lovely, easy to piece. I do feel that it will work really nicely, and I can see lots of opportunities for quilting in this area here. Hence the reason why I decided to go with this. So this is what we're going to be doing. So we need 8 of these in total, 4 of the different colors, and that is what it will look like. Okay, so I've already sewn one together. I'm not going to demonstrate how to sew that because I think it's quite easy. All you need to do really is, very important, is to stitch top and bottom on first. Okay, of course, 1/4 inch. Another thing you need to remember is to just simply center your block. So you're going to center your block by folding, making a crease line, and do it both ways as you're here. Okay, so once you've done that, then you can then simply lay on your half square triangles. And the easiest way to do that, if you don't want to center this block again, what you can do is ensure that your point is literally in the middle there. Okay, and when I say the middle there, the middle of that crease line, because I've creased it all the way down, so then you know you are definitely in the center of the square. All right, and you stitch it on first. All right, once you've done that, then you do the same. You center it on there. Okay, and when I did mine, when I stitched mine, I literally started at the end there and worked my way down. Okay, now if you're unsure about putting this one down, the second triangle down, and you're not sure if you're centered, then again you can simply just fold it, crease it, and you would know that you are definitely in the center. All right, but most important thing, center your blocks, make sure the two darker colors are opposite each other. And once you've done that, then you do the same and you sew on your medium blues on. All right, so this is your easy to piece block, is what I'm going to put it as a subject line, and then I'm going to do center borders and then give you the sizes. All right, so this is what it's going to look like once you have completed it. Absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love it, because all I am picturing in my head is what I can actually do for the quilting. That's all I am thinking of. Absolutely lovely. Now once you have stitched on your first, you can do the darks first or the mediums, entirely down to you. Just don't do them all together. But you are going to have an extra bit of fabric at the back there, so what I would say to you is just to trim it off. You don't necessarily need that there. All right, and then once you make your blocks, make sure they are nice and flat at the back and pressly nicely. Right, this needs to be 12-inch squared. Now my ruler is a 12-inch ruler. Okay, so once I made it, and it's going to come up slightly bigger than a 12-inch, so you're literally going to have trimmings to come out of this. All right, so all I did was laid it nicely on the block, and what I also did as well to center it, because I know this is a 12-inch, I centered my 6-inch mark there and there on my diamond here. And then I know that I was literally in the center of the block, and I just proceeded to trim around it. Okay, so quite simplistic really. All right, so you need 4 of these and 4 of these. So that's it for this week's guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course hit that notification bell, and I shall see you next week for the next tutorial. Bye for now, and of course, happy quilting. Yay! We're getting there.